Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the DJ Sessions Presents the Virtual Sessions. I'm your host Darren, and right now I'm sitting in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and none other. I have two guests on the show today. I have Tim coming in from outside of Portland, Oregon. I don't want to give away his new home address. And Tyler coming in from Atlanta, but both of them together make up the Midnight. How's it going today, guys?
Hey, great to be with you.
So
Yeah,
great. Thanks for having us,
absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. Super excited to dive in the show today. You have a lot of awesome stuff going on, but you know what I have to do? I have to turn off my audio from my servers so that way it doesn't duplicate in the broadcast. Yeah, that's what happens when you refresh a screen and forget to hit a button. But that being said, I want to start the show out by giving some awesome shout outs to your viewers that have tuned in via your Twitch stream. Starting from the top, we got Mags the Shark 23, Carry On Without Me. Took me a second to get that one. The Valentinas, please don't murder me if I get these wrong. I got Megatrona 21, the Garbage Greg, got Ghost Song, Tetra, Gamatron, and Tronicon. Lots of Trons in there. Sandry, Sightless Combat, Nerdy, Kid Nick. Okay, this is fun. I like these ones. Palaboy 97, Lily of the City, Scout Scope, Pan Booth 31, 031, Gup Tashing H99.
I just want an hour of you just naming these names. That's what I want.
Gabriel. Just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who jumped online, and thank you for being here today. We'll hit some of those shout outs as the show goes on. But here we are at the DJ Sessions talking with the Midnight today. Super excited. And we want to jump right into this stuff. You have a new album coming out called The Syndicate, and that's coming out in October on Ultra Records. Okay. Ultra Records, the Ultra Records, right?
That's
the Ultra Records. Okay,
awesome.
That's
the only one I know.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into the album, but how long has it been since you actually released something? Because I was going through your socials this morning, and it seems like there's been a little bit of a gap. Is that correct? You had an EP a while ago, and this is now something new come to the table, or have you been releasing album? Since? Is this just the album that took a while to make? I was a little confused on that.
Yeah, we released Heroes in 2022, I believe, and then we had a live record in 23. So yeah, it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now you're excited. Album, full-length album. We're talking 12, 13 songs, not an EP.
17
songs. Awesome. Yeah. And I noticed that there was a long list of collaboration of names that you collaborated with on this. I won't give them a whole list of shout outs or anything like that. But, making an album is a huge undertaking nowadays. You see a lot of people just producing tracks and tracks and tracks and tracks. What was the inspiration of actually making the album a Syndicate?
Oh, it's been such a long, it's been like 2.5 years in the making, I feel like, or maybe even more, but from the gestation of like, the title was something I had been mulling around for a while, either a track or an album, and it kind of came together. It started in one place. We went through many different phases and kept chipping away at it. But yeah, how did all this come about, Tyler? I don't know.
We were eating in Vegas. We had sat down for a lunch or dinner or something, and you were telling me about the game Syndicate, and you were
I remember now. I think we were actually the next morning in Vegas after a show at the little craps machines.
Yes.
We were sitting around, you and I, and I was having a coffee, and I think that's where the idea for Syndicate was. I just had this. I was inspired by the game, the 1993 video game called Syndicate by Bullfrog, very 90s aesthetic, and has like a Blade Runner-ish kind of neo-noir vibe, and kind of that was the starting point. But then it kept evolving, obviously, and as we're wont to do, pulling inspiration from our own lives and what's going on in the world and kind of our own journey. So yeah.
When I looked at some of the graphics and I wouldn't say neo-noir, but definitely that neon vibe, it screamed out to me kind of a cyberpunk. Obviously with the name Syndicate in there, I was like, okay, I used to play a little cyberpunk back in the day and in my role-playing game days. Yeah. So were you heavily influenced by, like, where would you say that influence would have come from for this other, is that where you're drawing this from? Are you fans of the 80s or cyberpunk realm?
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we've gone to the future in a way. A lot of the Midnight albums have harkened back to a time in the past, and we see the Midnight as the time machine that we get to ride to different eras and tell different stories. So this was our attempt to kind of go into the far distant future and have a bit of a meditation about loss. So we're not teenagers in the mall anymore. We're the story has kind of arced, and this is us kind of looking back and having kind of a moment of reflection about where we've been.
So were you both like mall rats growing up and hung out at the video game arcades and all that fun stuff?
I was, yeah.
A
So
little bit.
am I.
We didn't have as many video game arcades where I grew up in my local neighborhood, but I loved to go. I would go roller skating in the mall. I grew up in Denmark, so slightly different. But yeah, I would go roller skating with my friends, and we would always get thrown out, and we would try to get in, and the same security guy would see us again and throw it out again. But because the floors were so smooth compared to the concrete outside, so you wanted to roller skate through the mall because it's way better. So.
Yeah, and it's both was a roller skate rink fanatic and mall rat back in the days, video game arcade guys. Now there were some pictures of you recently in the studio, and I noticed you're both in two different locations. So is this more online collaborations? Do you guys work together and fly out to meet each other, or how does
We've
that
never
work?
even met.
We never even met. Wow. Well, I'm
we don't
learning
even
all
know
new
each other's
types of
last
stuff.
names.
Yeah,
I'm learning all kinds of new stuff today with y'all.
Yeah, no, that was those pictures were from the studio back in, when was that? Was that like I think it was like March, or we were right on the kind of, it was like April or something. We were right kind of in that last few weeks of finishing the album, or last month or so, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finishing, getting like the last final vocals, doing final little tweaks on the top line, writing on some songs. And that was just that was in LA while I still lived in LA, and Tyler, who's based in Atlanta, flew in, and I've since then left LA for the Pacific Northwest.
Nice. And
yeah,
you were, how long
answer
were
your
you?
question. Sorry, I kind of went on a whole diatribe there.
Okay.
We met in LA, many years ago, 13 years ago or so, and we're both living in LA. And then Tyler moved to York. I'm telling your life story, Tyler. Hope that's okay. And moved to York. I stayed in LA, and he lives in Atlanta now, and it's been a sort of a bi-coastal thing, and Tyler's been on the other side of the country for a lot of this, where we would fly in and hang out and do a week in the studio in Atlanta or LA or wherever it may be. But it would obviously be easier if we lived in the same city, but kind of how we work tends to be little spurts of focused energy, and we go away and do our thing, and then we come back, so it tends to be the rhythm.
And for our DJ Sessions viewers who have not heard about you, and I'm very new to the Midnight myself, so I haven't really dived into your library or anything of that nature. If you could describe your music in 3 words or less, how would you describe it?
Oh, I don't know if I can do it 3 words. I like to say it's like if a John Hughes movie had a baby with Miami Vice. That's my elevator pitch, but there's been evolving things in that, but I don't know if a 3-word description. What do you think? Tyler's the wordsmith.
Whenever an Uber driver asks me where I'm going and I have to explain that I'm playing a show tonight and I'm late, they're always like, "What kind of music is it?" And I just say rock and roll with synthesizers. That's our MO. It's Tim's synth world. He's the producer of this. He comes from very much the producer cockpit. He knows all the tools and tricks and sparkly synthesizers. I just know this American songwriting canon. So it's I feel like the mix between those two worlds. Bruce Springsteen and I don't know what you would call it, Tim, but
I don't know either. We should
really
work on that. We should figure that out at some point.
I know.
So, does gear really matter, Tim, when it comes to being creative? Does gear really matter, or should artists just be able to go with anything to all their fans? And are you like fully analog, or are you more digital now, or what's the transition of like that been? And same for you, Tyler.
Yeah.
For gear, I'm not the biggest gear head. I've become, as I've learned to work, as I've worked with different things, I think I've learned, I've educated myself and know more and can make more educated decisions. I think there can be a bit of a tendency to maybe be a little like to fetishize some gear for this is good for this and therefore it's good for everything. And there's truth in all of that, but I think depends on depends on your workflow, how you work best. For me, at least, I tend to be very much in the box. Oh, someone's getting arrested. Someone's getting arrested. I tend to be very much in the box, and then in the last few Heroes was very our last album, studio album was very live. There's a lot of live guitars, and there was a lot of outboard analog synths. But this new one, there is some analog synths, and we've gotten really good at using. We found the sort of right mic for Tyler that just sounds like his voice is butter on that mic. But a lot of that is in the box now, and I think it depends on, you got to find your own workflow, whatever makes you feel creative and makes it flow freely. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a tiny little cheap synth. If it sounds right to you and it gives you that sound, it doesn't have to be expensive equipment. Now, sonically, yeah, an expensive, good quality sound card is going to produce better mixes for you. You're going to be able to do more. You're going to get more bandwidth, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think there's any right or wrong approach.
Yeah, I want to jump in. There are some funny stuff being said on your chat line right now. Tim, Johnny Clueless wants to know how long you've been running Megacorp for.
So it's an ongoing thing. It's started as a nonprofit, but I turned out I couldn't squeeze enough money out of it. To be fair, this was an inside joke, and I was hoping Tyler would also add a little thing, and I realized now I just look like a megalomaniac, like a Bond villain.
That's my part of the joke.
Oh yeah, exactly. I know how he operates. Thank you for recognizing. Game recognizes game.
No worries. So taking this question from a fan of ours, Nikki Showalter, she wants to know, what does your songwriting process look like? Like, where do you start? And do you have any tips for people that are starting out that might be helpful in the early stages of somebody wanting to get into music creation or songwriting?
Yeah. Nobody knows what a song is supposed to be. In terms of production, you can take something and make it sound better or worse. But in terms of songwriting, it's a blank slate. And I think that can be intimidating when you're first starting out, especially to conjure the confidence to say, this is what I want to say, and this is why I want to say it, and it should exist. I think it takes a good 10 years of songwriting to kind of hit a point where you think, oh, it's important that this idea exists. Before then, there's just so much self-doubt and so much, should I say it this way, or my heroes do it this way, maybe I should, do it like my heroes. But I mean, the song that is your voice is what should exist, and there is no blueprint for it. So throw anything at the wall. People have been doing it different ways throughout time, and it's really just whatever feels best to you. Production's a whole different thing, but in terms of lyric writing and melody, that's it's just human behavior. The baby crying is the melodic line, and people walking, that's rhythm. It's just a very human thing that we've turned into an industry somehow, perhaps to music's disadvantage, but just do it. It's the most natural human thing. Just go in the direction you feel.
Yeah, again, I guess I think in my philosophy of music class when I was in college years ago, I think I didn't really try to argue the point, but I tried to argue that I think my thesis was that an airport was basically in relationship to a symphony orchestra, everything that happened, the orchestration of what went on in the airport, all the happenings that went on.
Yeah.
And, I actually got an A on that thesis, and then I said, well, wait a second, what if like the planets and the stars are actually musical tones, and work in harmony? And I think I kind of, where I was going to school at, the kids in the classroom probably were looking at me as some crazy kid, but the teacher, he was my philosophy and logic teacher as well, was like,
cool.
Where did you grow up? Like, are you from this planet or something? I'm like, no, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But anyways, it's just, you're right. Anyone can start creating music. And I see this often in early careers of podcasters or people getting online with video and stuff, that where do you go? Where do you start? And you just come up with a topic and kind of roll with it and you grow into it. You said it even took time for you to get into this. What was both of your strongest motivations for pursuing a career in music?
Ignorance. That
Yeah.
was my strongest motivation.
Ignorance. Yeah, I think it's a blessing to not know. If I think about how long it took me to get here, had I known that when I was 21 years old, I don't know. I mean, I probably wouldn't have just given up, but I would have. It would have. It's a blessing to not know how much you're gonna struggle or be rejected. I'd say, if I don't know, this is maybe not the answer you're looking for, but I'd say get used to the word no, and realize that it just, all that is kind of a redirection on your path, and instead of taking it as a sign that what you're doing is wrong, it just means you either haven't found your voice yet, or maybe it's just not resonating with this specific person. So figure out why you want to do it. That's because if you're doing it for others, then you're going to fail and it's going to suck and the experience is going to suck. But if you make the goal of making it is making yourself joyful and happy and feel good and loving that process and the final product, which is all we can control, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a lot more good experiences. And I think that's where success, if you want to, whatever that means to you, flows out of that.
Yeah.
Tyler, any thoughts on that? Because I had something to follow up right with that.
I just went camping with my family for Labor Day, and we went to an Appalachian culture museum. It's called Foxfire. It's up in the woods in North Georgia. But you see all the instruments that are handmade, made from a cigar box, and there's a dulcimer and a banjo and the guitar, and you recognize that music, much like making wine or growing your garden, these were just human behaviors. The idea that I'm going to be the person that's going to grow the best tomato, that's roughly what shooting for being a professional musician is. And it's like we've taken this thing that's just really supposed to be communal, local, and behavioral, and we've put it on a trajectory to be rich and famous, much to the detriment of some of our music and a lot of our musicians, I think.
Yeah.
And I wonder what AI can do this better than we can, if not today, then tomorrow. I wonder what happens when we kind of have to revalue music and what it actually means as a product that we consume, but also something that we do as humans, that we make. It's akin to archive art paintings or whatever. It's just something innate that we do. So the sooner you can kind of divorce those two things, the need for it to have money or for people to pay attention to what you're doing, and just the sheer curiosity and wonder of being able to put sound in silence, I think the better the world will be.
I talked to a lot of producers, a lot of DJs over the years, and one of the things they say is, don't look at what's hot right now and produce that. Produce what you love and find your circle within that and get encouragement within that, and then you'll be much happier in this industry probably, because you're not chasing the carrot, because by the time you produce something, get it out there, that carrot's already moved or the cheese is already moved, so really find out what you love doing. And that could be a multitude of things. So people get in and they think, oh, I'm going to produce house music, or I'm going to produce trance, and they find themselves producing drum and bass, later on, or, going off into doing other types of music. But, question here, where's the weirdest moment you've ever heard one of your own tracks play? And this is a question for both of you. Tyler, go first. Tim, jump in.
The weirdest place I ever heard our music played, I heard Vampires at a construction site in Brooklyn on the Gowanus Canal as I was walking by after lunch going back to my apartment. That was a weird one. There was an empty bar one time that was playing one of our songs in New Orleans. It's before the midnight, I would have this experience of hoping that I would hear one of my songs that I'd written out in the world. And usually when I had that moment, it was because I just plugged my phone into somebody else's car and it just played the first song, which was mine. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's me. But hearing the midnight out into the world makes me happy, because it's Tim's project, it's my project, but it's also this third thing. It's like our little musical love child called The Midnight, and it's its own thing, and it delights me to hear it out, which I get to every now and then.
I still haven't heard it out in the wild. I'm still waiting for that. Generally, I've heard songs. I used to be a producer for other artists and never actually had sort of aspirations of being an artist. But then I met Tyler and I realized I had something in me I wanted to express, and he was part of like unlocking that. So I've heard songs that I've produced or co-written or blah blah blah, you know, here and there, but never heard. I will get messages every now and then from like my friends, like they're playing Midnight at the bar I'm at. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool. And I've never experienced it. I would, you know, genuinely love to walk into a clothing store and then have our music playing and just go, that's cool. But it's never happened. You know, boo-hoo.
So taking a question from one of your guests that's in the stream right now. I'm not sure how to pronounce the username. You might know him, maybe a big fan, but I'm going to bring this in here. And do you have any predictions for Stranger Things 5? Are you two both obviously fans of Stranger Things? I take
Totally.
it.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan myself.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see that in any of the socials out there, but sounds like it fit right in. I love the soundtrack. I love what they're doing.
I feel like the seasons have been there's like 5 years between every season now. So
Yeah.
I kind of I forgot where we dropped off. I'll for sure see it because I think it's so amazingly done and just all across the board so well done. But I don't even remember where we left off and what they're probably like 35 years old, all of them now. So you know, it's them and Walking Cane and I don't know.
I'm stoked. I thought the last season was some of the best television I've ever seen. It was a murder mystery, and Vecna is a very terrifying villain. And
oh yeah, right.
The
blonde dude or the guy?
No, he's like a monster with.
But wasn't he?
He was number one.
Evolve into.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
Anyways, so yeah. Anyway, I should rewatch that. But when is it coming out? Do we know? Is there like a release date?
I'm sure there's a release date later this year, but hang on, TRA and Stranger Things. Let's see, television series, 5 seasons. Blah 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 blah. Come on, where's it at? I should have this pulled up right away.
I remember watching season 4 in an Airbnb in Lake Arrowhead, like in 2021 or something like that.
The teaser's out on. The teaser's out. Probably your fans will know. They're over there in the chat room.
November 26th. November
26th. Okay, probably
is volume 1, and then December 25th is volume 2.
So probably do the 6 episodes and the 6 episodes type thing.
Yeah.
So now I have to wait till December to watch them all back to back.
Yeah, I dig it. I'm ready.
I see the cast here in Atlanta quite a bit. At least before the writer's strike, you would see them all riding bikes on the Beltline, which is like great.
Cool.
They seem like they're all friends.
Atlanta has become the new Hollywood, right? Basically.
Georgia, yeah. It's like Georgia's. I always see that Georgia peach at the end of a lot of productions. You know, I guess they must have given some really great tax incentives there to build that up. You know, so awesome stuff going on there. Could totally diverge into a Stranger Things conversation. Get my friend Monty in here. He's a super fan of the series. But back to music. And this is one of the tougher questions that I ask my guests from time to time is if you had to pick one of your productions as your most favorite one, which one would that be? And what's the reasoning for it to be your favorite track?
Tyler, you go first.
I mean, the stuff that I like the most is generally the stuff that I have the least amount of hand in. I really like Tim's like ambient, brain tickly, like Helvetica or Tokyo Night Train, kind of these ambient, weird, ethereal tracks. Those are my favorite because I didn't have a part in them.
So funny. That's great. Thank you very much. Checks in the mail. Thank you for. For me, it would be opposite. It would be something that Tyler's involved with because I like doing my ambient. I love that, but for me, that's like, sure, it's fine. But it's like once we add Tyler's spice in the mix, it elevates it somehow. And I don't know. I don't have one specific song, but I would say the two that always sticks out to me are on a track production wise, where I'm really happy with what those tracks did emotionally and how they hit his Shadows and Lost Boy. Those two, I felt like they both tracks kind of represent kind of a little bit of a creative breakthrough for me at the time, moving on to the next, like pushing the Midnights further into something new that felt exciting to me. Lost Boy is kind of an emotional space, and Shadows is that neo-noir kind of neon drenched, rainy nights city vibe. On the new album, I have a ton of favorites. I've with no shame, I'm proud to say I keep listening to a lot of the songs on the new album that we've just finished that comes out on October 3rd. And there's, the songwriting that Tyler provides is such a perfect, such a perfect kind of top under, on top of like the bed of music that naturally flows out of me. It makes my job easier. So I don't know well, I can't say about the new album. I don't want to get into too much, but there's a lot of favorites on the new album.
I love reading the fan reactions. We just dropped a single called Summer is Ending Soon, and the consensus was everybody wanted to hear some saxophone on it. And I just am so giddy for the fans to know what's coming up. Like that we haven't forgotten about them, that we love them very
Don't worry
much.
about
We're gonna tell a lot of stories, but the people who are bummed about saxophone,
it'll never stop. We've
just
really
giggle.
shot ourselves in the foot by using so much sax early on, which is funny. I never even thought about it as that much sax, but I guess our EP Nocturnal is album EP, I guess, is pretty chock full of sax. But yeah, it's funny to me that the sax is this thing that, like, whatever we're putting out, if there isn't sax, it's sort of automatically, for many people, detracts. And it's like, wait, I didn't know that there was supposed to be. It's like saying, wait, why is there no jazz flute on this? I love jazz flute.
We should get some jazz flute.
Yeah, we should.
There's a lot of saxophone coming, by the way. That's the subtext of all that.
Yes, all I can say is maybe the next single has a lot of sax, more than you would ever think to dream of. But yeah, Summer's Ending Soon is never like, we let the song and the emotion of the song lead the kind of tone of it, and for Summer's Ending Soon didn't feel like a sultry sax type of thing. Sax to me sort of connotes a sexy sort of intimacy, a very romantic, sexy intimacy, in a way, how I like to use it, at least. Not every song or album fits that, but the next song does. Maybe it's not sexy intimacy in the next song, but let's say the next single will feed your,
Well, it definitely seems like your fans love the sax.
Oh, it's a thing.
I mean, they're blowing up in the chat room right now talking about the sax. Awesome. It's producing beats, music, dance music. It has a lot of time with sitting in front of a computer, countless hours behind the computer, sculpting the beats, making your tracks. Where do both of you find time in your free time to stay fit? Because I know I'm behind the computer all the time. I just put on 25 pounds, waist down, down in this area, but because I'm sitting at my desk all the time. Do you two have active lifestyles where you maintain like a physical regimen or mental regimen that helps you keep in the game and not get burnt out? How do you deal with that?
Yeah. I have an e-bike. I live 30 minutes away from my son's school, and so we bike to his school in the morning, and then I usually go to the gym, which is on something called the Beltline in Atlanta. So you can kind of ride your bike all around the city. So I went to the gym today, and I had a nice healthy lunch, and instead of going to my studio, I came home so that I could talk to you guys. But yeah, it really, the mental needs the physical. And honestly, if you just want to use exercise as a way of mental health, that's mostly how I use it. There's nothing better for my brain than moving my body. Yeah. But you're right. It is kind of a trade-off because there's only so much time in a day, but tour is coming up soon, so I have to make sure that I am in as good a shape as I can be, because as soon as I get on the bus, it's all goes out the window.
Tim, what about, do you have any daily regimens or things that
Yeah.
you use? Protein shakes?
Lots
Any
of protein shakes.
secret things that help you out there?
You
Yeah,
don't
I
even
mean,
need to
I
exercise.
just
Just drink
came.
all the protein shakes. That's the secret. Just keep
That's
drinking protein shakes.
all I do. Just drink protein shakes. I just came out of finishing this album in the spring. I think March and April and May were insane for me. Especially the last 2 months. Last month I was just a complete zombie, but I was so honed in. I tend to get into that space just to kind of finish everything. But so I had that, and then I had then I had to move to Oregon from LA and pack up my studio and do that like a month later. So I was I kind of needed to take some time, but now that I'm kind of all settled in, I've actually been I'm in a very walkable city and just enjoying literally going for long walks. I got like 20,000 steps in yesterday, and it's amazing. I think there's something really meditative about that. Meditative. Wait, am I saying that right? Meditative.
Meditative.
Meditative. There you go.
Meditative.
There we go. No, I try to go to the gym at least, I don't know, 4 to 6 times a week. Now that I kind of have the bandwidth for that. And I've also been on a bit of a weight loss kind of journey in the last couple of months, and just leaning out and so it's an ongoing thing. And I love cooking for myself, and I'm that nerd that like weighs my food and counts my macros, and because I'm my Virgo OCD nature means that
Virgos.
All that. Yeah, Virgos. There you go. When's your birthday?
August 23rd. I'm a Leo Virgo.
Oh,
Leo
my
rising.
Leo. He just had his birthday as well.
Yeah.
Wait, so are you technically a Virgo?
With the time of day that I was born, I'm a Leo actually. But I'm Leo Virgo. If you
right
sum it up, I'm on the cusp. But I got Leo rising. Everyone thinks I'm a Leo with my outgoing tendencies, all that stuff. But Virgo, okay. I'm very very
particular.
Very particular, yeah. It comes down to it. We can go up on astrology all we want. August 25th, give a shout out to Rythan in there. You mentioned steps in there, and I just went for my birthday last weekend. I went to Magic Mountain and went to the water park, the good Magic Mountain, and Six Flags. And we walked around that park, the water park. First day, I think we did like 15,000 steps. The next day, we did another like 16,000. In 2 days, I'm 51. I'm like, dang, I feel like I want to get one of those little stroller things now to roll around the parks. If you want to get all the rides in one day, without using FastPass, But yeah, I know it is. Staying fit is definitely one of those things that I hear a lot of. I don't want to say veteran or seasoned producers, but that young producers, young artists don't take their health into consideration when they're doing all this. You've got to be mentally prepared to be on board with this. I mean, I've partied for years out of all this, and could see looking back on how many holdups there were because of going after that part of the industry. And then when you get focused and you're dialed in, you're like, I don't need that anymore.
No, it's true. I mean, there was a period when I started producing full time in my kind of mid to late 20s. After a couple of years, I gained a bunch of weight and was way bigger, because you have to adjust to that lifestyle where you're sitting down, and you have to be intentional about, moving and literally just burning some calories and just eating healthier food. And then that goes with aging, right? I'm 45, it's like I'm not getting any younger, so yeah, you have to be intentional about it.
Definitely. Going back to technology, studio production, music production stuff here, technology moves really fast in production land. If you could think of something that's not on the market today, but in your vision would be really awesome to be out there on the market that you could use, what would that be? And I'm not looking for any patent ideas here either.
That's a good one. You have any thoughts, Tim?
No, I wish I did. I was hoping you had. You're the tech guy.
There's got to be a way to resample things live. Like the Octatrack is, it's possible with that. The new OPXY has some features, but I would love to be able to have kind of live mixing and remixing going on live on stage with the whole 5-person band that we've got, to be able to take a splice out of the sax solo and manipulate that real time. I think that's something that I would like. I'm sure that there's a way to cobble it together in modular synth world, but like a cool solution. So I just pulled up the chat. If anybody knows what that is, uh, yeah, shout that out, because I think that would be what we're missing live.
I got into a few years back, Mark, I hope I say this right, Mark Rebellet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love that style where I saw something like that years before him, though. It was at an Apple presentation, and somebody was up on stage and they were doing that, they were sampling, just tapping their foot or tapping on the mic, I think, for something. Then they were tapping their foot. They were tapping on their guitar, and then they started playing a guitar, and it was all that live mixing that right there. Is it called sample product? I don't know what to call it. I've been using samplers and stuff since the 80s. Yeah. I grew up with two brothers. They were musicians and playing with the MIDI gear and all that stuff back in the 80s, but really thought that was cool. Is that something that would allude to that, Tyler? Something that would be similar to that? Then you can manipulate that live, or would it be the live performance of it right there at the same time?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is covered by the MPC world, but it's really hard to route to front of house and then also into this machine. There's a lot at stake as well. I know with Ableton Live you can clock things and have gates and ratchets and things like that. But yeah, that's if I were to add kind of one layer to the Midnight Live, that's what I would enjoy adding.
That was something that I thought that years ago Logic had also done, is that they allowed you to take your studio sets and then bring it to the stage and also perform it live from what was produced in the studio. I've never done it myself. I used to work for Apple and could train you how to use Logic, but not train you how to use music, make music.
Yeah, we tried Mainstage a couple shows.
Mainstage, yeah.
Mainstage, yeah.
That's what, Mainstage. I haven't played around with that for a while. Speaking of scoring software production, if you two could score a Hollywood movie or score for a Hollywood production, what director, what series would be your choice? What director would you want to work with?
Ooh, a specific. Anyone who would have us. It's come up a few times, and we were approached. We've talked about this a little bit, but we were approached by Joseph Kosinski, who did for Top Gun Maverick. We ended up having meetings. We saw some early edits with our music used in scenes, and that was incredible. And it didn't pan out that way. They went in a different direction, which ultimately I think was the right direction for the movie, because it came out amazingly. But that was someone that we felt was he reached out to us, and that was like a marriage made in heaven. I think he's officially signed up to do a remake of Miami Vice, which would be fun. That would be, I feel like that would also, I saw a fan going, this, you guys need to do. I was like, great. Don't tell me, tell Joseph Kosinski. But I mean, I think it's funny. I kind of alluded to this on my Twitch stream last Wednesday. I stream on Twitch production things. I've done that for the past month or so. It's new, but it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun on Twitch streaming 7 p.m. Pacific time Wednesday evenings. And I've been doing track breakdowns and I alluded to it last time. It's not something that's like official an announcement, but we've talked about Tyler. I feel like I can say this, Tyler. It's going to be something. I'm putting pressure on myself by making it public. But Tyler, you watched Heat for the first time, which I'm allowed. You were even allowed to be in the midnight, having not seen Heat. Quite frankly, we'll have to have some talks. But
I know it made a lot of sense after I saw it.
Yeah, but you watched Heat, and he was like, "Oh my god, I get the sort of cinematic kind of space now." And then you just threw out, you're like, "We should do our own." He's like, "The music kind of threw me because he's got that 90s. Like, we should just do our own score." And I was like, that's a really cool idea, because I think scoring has been something I wanted to get into for a few years, but in the right way, and maybe with people that know what they're doing, because it's a new world to me, and I'd be able to bring whatever I can bring. But that's been a kind of little fun thing that we thought about, and I think I'd like to try and probably pull on Tyler's help and some of on the songwriting or something to kind of rescore Heat. That would be, and that's Michael Mann is that guy, in terms of the aesthetic of the Midnight, that noir, very in many ways very LA focused. You have Collateral, you have Heat, you have Manhunt, all these kind of LA at night type movies, blue lighting and all that stuff. And so Michael Mann or any one of those would be cool. But it's a new unexplored venture for us.
You mentioned Miami Vice there, and one of my top favorite songs, and I'm probably going to get chewed up by your viewers over there because they already love me over there, but it's all good. Jan Hammer, Miami Vice, the Crockett theme song, probably one of my top favorite tracks of all time.
Yeah.
I just love that. I'm a huge fan of the synthwave 80s. You listen to a station, maybe you've heard of it, Groove Salad by Selma FM out of San Francisco. It's like anyone that knows me knows that it's on. If I'm not listening doing a show, or if I'm listening to a DJ set or at a show, I'm listening to Groove Salad by Selma FM. I always got to give them a shout out. And they're always playing that kind of 80s synthwave background music.
Check this out.
Amazing stuff. Yeah, contact Rusty over there. He'd love to get your stuff on there, I'm sure. I can't speak for him, but awesome station. Been listening to him since 2003. But yeah, that when you said Miami Vice, and I just love those waves, the pads and the synths used there. It's just amazing. That's what I loved playing on a kid when I had a keyboard in my brother's studio. I'd get in and you got all the synthesizer waves and you just play with the pans and those not earthal. What's the term I'm looking for?
Ethereal.
What?
Ethereal?
Ethereal. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm looking for. I know there was another word I'm looking for there, but that'll work. But you always love playing with that just kind of harmonious vibe that you got from playing with that. Anyways, shivers. Enough about music production, all that fun stuff, though. We got to talk about this tour that's coming up, because your fans are just begging to hear where you're playing, where you're coming out. I mean, obviously the dates have been announced, correct?
Yeah.
I know it's September 17th in Helsinki is coming up. Pretty excited for that. How long has it been since you've been on a tour or been out and about?
Actually, this is the longest break we've had since COVID. We did some shows in Mexico City and Monterrey earlier in the year, but the last proper tour we did was with our friends Chromeo on a co-headline tour across the U.S. and Canada. So this is a good one. I don't remember how many dates it is, but it's close to a month. Has us going all the way from Helsinki to Wrocław, Poland, all through Scandinavia and Germany and Belgium, France, Spain, the UK. So we are, ending in Dublin, which is a place we haven't been in a minute. So we're very excited to be back. So yeah, we love it, and we'll probably announce next year's tour dates soon. So this is kind of breaking the seal on what'll be a pretty busy year and a half or so for us. So we hope we've rested enough to be ready for it. But yeah.
I just came off of a few months back of an 8.5 month hiatus. So just taking a break after doing the show for 16 years and being go. It's just, I don't know. Well, it was supposed to be a couple weeks, which turned into a couple months. And then it turned into the end of the year, and I'll start up after the first of the year. So I kind of know what it's like coming back to the fold and getting back in. And, you're mentioning going and doing your UK and EU tour, which is awesome. I'm also planning for 2026. Starting a little bit later this year to start going a little bit more international, getting more abroad, and super excited to be making our home base over in Berlin with a very renowned studio over there, and then getting into the major festival, ADE, IMS, and then I think it's IMS and Sonar over there, doing some collaborations with people in Mexico as well. So yeah, we're gonna be on the ground touring. So I mean, what do you ever get fed up with playing and making and playing music? And also, it's also been a while since you've been on tour, but how do you deal with that if you're on tour? Again, going back to kind of that health regimen mindset, do you have a tour mindset that you say, okay, we're on tour? Does somebody walk along the side and say, drink your juice, drink your water, make sure you're going to bed at night, you know, or how do you deal with all that?
I remember I was a touring artist before the Midnight started touring, and I remember one of our first like little 3 show runs with Tim. We played in Chicago, and everybody was staying in this big house in Chicago, and Tim stayed up like drinking beer and playing pool, and like felt like shit the next day. And I was like, yes, I forgot to tell Tim that this is work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd had too much whiskey with our booking agent the night before.
It's a difficult thing, right? Because you are there to kind of provide everyone else's party, but you kind of can't participate in the way that they can, because you got to do it the next night and the next night and the next night, and you have to make sure that what you have to bring is your best. Is so, it's the boring stuff like try and get sleep, don't drink, don't stay up and tell stories with your teammates. Go to bed, get that Kim Burns documentary on your iPad and go to sleep. And that way, when you wake up the next morning, you can write in your journal, you can go for a walk, you can do all the important things that you need to do so that you're ready for action when the curtain opens.
Yeah.
Also, and to kind of jump on that, I no longer go on tour because it was kind of spreading me too thin, and the beauty was last year when we were the band was in Europe and on the Chromeo tour, I was able to be at home working on the album, so it was really amazing. But when I was, the workload, the kind of heaviness of the workloads is on me on the album production side, but on the live side, very much the pressure's on Tyler to be, if there's no lead singer, there's no show, right? But we could do a show without me if I'm just playing some synths and some keys and some BBs technically. And so the pressure's definitely has been much more on Tyler to perform, to kind of be able to kind of not get sick. And that's always the challenge, is try to get enough sleep, try to get a decent diet. That's the hard part sometimes, depending on where in the world you are and what the, food kind of opportunities are, and just not get sick. And if you can, I think we always started our tours with like, I'm going to do work, I'm going to bring workout gear and I'm going to do all that. And then it just kind of slowly declines, 2 weeks into the tour, everyone was like, I just need to nap. And it's such, Tyler always, I remember you talking about, you bring tons of books and I'm going to write my thesis on life. And then
I was going to write a book last year on tour.
Yeah. There's always like these goals, and you end up just always prioritizing naps so as to not get sick and try to, it's brutal. While I had such a blast, and we were very blessed to do it in the way we were on the level we were able to do it. It's tough on the body, and I don't think they don't see that side of it, obviously, and nor should they. It's not their job to know that, but it's our job to, like Tyler said, provide like an amazing night, and that requires energy from the whole crew, everyone. We're amazingly blessed to have a fantastic crew around us to kind of lift us all up. Yeah.
And is there anything that is that you can share with us that's on your rider that is kind of out of the norm or crazy that you kind of request when you're on tour?
What do you got?
It's no longer currently on the rider, but for the longest time we requested Predator on Betamax, and
the Die Hard 2 sweater.
Yeah, the John McLean sweater. Predator on Betamax doesn't exist, but it was always just kind of thrown in to make sure that they read the rider. So every few shows you would just see Predator on Betamax like printed on the side of the wall, and that was our internal indication that they'd read the entire rider fully and were basically taking their job seriously.
I remember once we played in Manchester. Was that Manchester? No, not Manchester. Glasgow. A very cold venue. It's the fall in Glasgow, like October sometime, wet and rainy, and we're playing inside this venue that has two. Imogen Heap was next to us in the room next to us, and the venue, and and it was like it wasn't like a castle, but it was like it felt medieval, and it was cold, and that was the one and only time they had gotten 2 sweaters for us instead of the Die Hard sweater. They actually got some sweaters, and we were just like, oh my God, give it to us. And that was a blessing in disguise that they gave us an actual physical sweater. The joke was that the sweater that Bruce Willis wears in the airport in Die Hard 2, and just to make sure that they read the fine print, we weren't expecting to get actual sweaters every venue, and nor should we. But for that show, we did, and that was a blessing.
I would be amazed if somebody actually found a Betamax, recorded it, put it on a Betamax.
That's what we're waiting for.
That's something I would actually look and read on the writer and find and do. Because I mean, do people even know what Betamax? I mean, I guess you can do a Google search and find it nowadays. But I got my beta tapes from when we did our first broadcast television shows in my archive, sitting right around the corner. So I know what beta is.
Yeah.
Trying to find it, that would be pretty awesome. If you two, and now, how much control do you have in your stage design, stage upkeep? Do you work with a company that puts that all together for you, or is it just a simple for this tour? Is it going to be a basic stage layout, or what should your fans expect to see on this tour for your stage setup?
Yeah, so many months before a tour, we're given a spreadsheet that says basically how much money we're gonna make or lose, and we try and elevate our level of production, i.e., the amount of lights and the basically how much stuff we can rent beforehand. So if the tickets are selling well, then we can push it a little bit harder. If it's going to be a tough tour, then we'll scale back. But yeah, we will have the same, amazing lighting, and hopefully we're trying very hard to figure out how to get lasers into this camp. Lasers are expensive and time consuming, but I think it's time. I want to graduate to the next level of stage production.
So that leads into my next question here is taking out lasers from one of these things. If you could host an event without any limitations, you have the Black American Express card ready to go, sky's the limit. Name out of not lasers, but name 4 other things you would want to have at that event.
You want to go?
Sharks with lasers.
Sharks with lasers.
Tigers with lasers. I don't know. What do you think, Tyler? You're the
saxes with lasers.
Saxophones with lasers.
Somehow turn a saxophone into a laser weapon.
That would be amazing. You could point it at people. Oh my God.
We've been kind of dreaming because this record is a little more EDM kind of dance music heavy, and it would be so fun to really blow out the video wall possibilities. We've had video walls in the past, but it's always been kind of festivals. We have some content, but we haven't really kind of honed in. So it would be fun to do some, Guitar Hero battles on stage. It would be really fun to, I don't know, just make something very live and risky, and combine MIDI triggers with video triggers. There's just so much to do. So yeah, I got big dreams about our stage production coming up. Yeah.
You mentioned Guitar Hero in there. Have you ever done anything? I didn't get to see this anywhere in the research that I put together quickly here for this interview, but have you done anything for video games, as in the Midnight video game? Or have you done anything with VR, like Beat Saber, or any of the interactive games for VR or anything like that? Are your tracks available there?
We've done some, is it 1 or 2 songs, or there's been some songs used in video games, but we haven't made our own video game.
We created a song for Road 98 Mile Zero. It's a cool game that came 96? Out on Steam. 96, that's right. Sorry. And then we've been in a few video games. We just were in the F1 game. Chariot was on that. But no, in terms of like from the beginning to end, creating a unique piece of music for use in a game, that sounds so fun, and we would love to do that.
I'm a big fan of VR Beat Saber. We have a VR nightclub that what this interview is going to right now, that I just saw somebody pop in there and talked about that. But I'm looking for a new workout program and looking for some new tracks and songs. Beat Saber's fun, but there's some other applications in there for doing some workouts and fun stuff. And just wanted to see if you had anything in there or you were developing anything for that. Maybe in the future.
If someone wants to hire us, please, we're available.
That sounds awesome. Well, we're just going to wrap it up here really quick. Couple more questions here. When you're not entertaining others, what do you both do to entertain yourselves? Like, what's a day in the life of, other than working out and staying in your physical regimen, Tyler maybe writing a book and all that fun stuff? What do you two do when it's like, go do something and entertain ourselves? What are the top things you look forward to doing when you're taking a break from production and stage and on the road and stuff?
Go for this, Tim.
I'm a super homebody. Lately it's been a lot of watching, X-Files and West Wing while I'm Googling, furniture to kind of doing interior design for my new place. Going for nice walks. I got my dog Yogi next to me. I go for walks. I like cooking. I'm just kind of a homebody, and I love kind of going for walks downtown in my little city. It's a simple life, but that's how I like it.
Nice.
I have a garden. I come from the country, so I lived in New York and LA and always dreamt of having a yard where I could grow things. And I finally have that. And my muscadine harvest, which is a wild grape that grows in the Southeast, is coming in. So after our interview, I'm going to go pick a couple gallons of muscadines and add them to the ones I've got in my fridge, and I'm going to make some homemade fruit wine. So that's my non-music related hobby for the day.
I still have a bunch of apple cider. I was supposed to make some hard cider or some apple cider stuff. I brewed beers in the past and they've come out really good.
Cool.
I was impressed with them, but looking at doing some cider a while back. But yeah, I love making that homemade stuff. It's fun. I kind of dive back a little bit into music production here. Question, because I see some of your fans in the chat room are saying it would have been so sick had you two done something for Tron, which I am a huge fan. Obviously, 83 Tron coming, 82. I always get 82, 83 mixed up, but I love that film. Apparently, they're coming back and remastering both Tron and Tron Legacy for the new release of Ares, which I'm super excited to see. Big fan of all that. But have you ever maybe sat down and thought as a project to take a movie that already has obviously a score to it and rescore it just for your own fun purposes? And
we had this conversation 20 minutes ago. That's exactly what I want to do with Heat.
Oh, what you want to do with Heat? Okay, yeah, with Heat.
That's
okay,
exactly it. You got it.
I was just thinking Tron came up. I was just wondering if maybe you've ever thought about doing it for Tron specifically.
Not for Tron, but when Joseph Kosinski's people reached out originally, they couldn't say which movie it was. They said it was a Paramount entity. So, but our first thought was, is it Tron? But that's under Disney, so it couldn't be. But we were kind of hoping, is it Tron 3? No, yeah.
I don't know that we could beat Daft Punk and
Absolutely
Joe Trappanese and then Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails. I feel like they're pretty qualified to.
You know what? They're doing great. We're just gonna leave it there. Yeah.
Two artists, two groups, fans. I'm huge fans of both. Big fans of both, but yeah, he decided to say it because they kept saying Tron. Tron came up. Flash Gordon reference just came up from Euros Geyer. I heard some reason they can't really remake Flash Gordon. Won't go into that conversation, or it was passed long ago because of too many sci-fi films were being released, and the remake of it was like passed over or something, which is a bummer. I like the original '80s one. Anyways, that being said, is there anything else you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about, or your own fans know about, before we let you get going?
Other than the fact that, I stream on Twitch. I'm on a stream tonight in exactly 8 hours, 7 p.m. Pacific time. On Twitch, I stream on our midnight Twitch channel, and we got a tour coming up in Europe and a record. October 3rd, Syndicate.
1 month from today, Syndicate drops. We released 5 of the 17 songs as singles. There may or may not be one more proper single before it comes out. It may or may not have saxophone on it.
Who's to say?
Yeah, but we'll announce new tour dates soon. For
awesome. And where's the best place people can go to find out all that information?
I mean, our website is probably the best, themidnightofficial.com. And then we're on all the socials. I forget what our tags are on all the different, the Midnight LA, I think, is our Instagram. Or that's our Twitter or X.
Midnightofficial.com.
Midnight Official. And the Instagram is also the Midnight Official, I'm pretty sure. And I can't remember all the other tags, but we're on all the socials, YouTube, all the stuff.
Awesome. I'm going to try to do something here really quick. Never done this before on a show, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in the chat room really quick here because I can't give 122 shout outs to everyone right away. But I want to give shout outs to everyone who is in the chat. Let's see if I can do this. And if I copy pasted this right here, boom. Oh, I have a character limit of 500.
Leva says she's crying. Don't cry.
I can't do it. I can't give everyone a shout out in the chat room. Unfortunately, it just let me do. I think everyone's now they're busting out.
Greg's saying, "Hi, Mom. I'm on TV."
Awesome. So I'm going to put the chat away. Thank you both for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. Would love to follow up with you here in the next few months, as we always like to stay in touch. I guarantee you, fans of the show, I will do some more deep diving research on these two gentlemen and the Midnight for your listening viewing pleasure. Thank you all for being here today. And Tim and Tyler, thank you. And want to give a shout out to Hannah in the background as well for setting up the Twitch channel. She was awesome and brought to all your fans activating your Twitch channel, make this live today as well.
Thanks for having us. This was really fun.
Absolutely. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon out there in Atlanta. And Tim, we're on PST, so you have a wonderful morning, I guess. It's an awesome time here. Thank you both for coming on the show today.
All right. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. On that note, don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Check us out. Find all our socials there. You can find out 2,700 past episodes, over 700 news stories. We have our VR nightclub, mobile app being redone right now, and more at thedjsessions.com. Check it out. Exclusive mixes, interviews, all that and more at thedjsessions.com. I'm your host, Darren, coming to you from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington with Tim and Tyler. I got to figure out how to point this way. I usually don't have three people on the show. From Atlanta and Portland, coming in for the DJ sessions today. And remember, and thank you to all the fans for watching. And remember, on the DJ sessions, the music never stops.
Sweet.